Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to give you an overview about the various financial aid opportunities that students have here at Montgomery College. We're going to start off by what is financial aid? Financial aid is funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary education. What is cost of attendance? Cost of attendance is a combination of tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, and miscellaneous personal expenses. The cost of attendance here at Montgomery College, we do have, even though we don't have any dorms, we do include room and board as part of the cost of attendance because we know students do have living expenses. The estimated family contribution is very important because this is the index number that the federal government determines what the student's eligibility and what the contribution is going to be that the family is allowed to contribute for the student's education. Basically, this number is given to students when they do the FAFSA. The federal government uses a combination of items such as the family income, how many people are in a household, how many people are going to college, do they have any businesses, and they use this formula to determine what a student's financial eligibility is. So here we have, what is financial need? We take the cost of attendance minus the family expected family contribution, and that gives the student what their financial need is. This slide gives us an opportunity to see the difference among various institutions. For example, using the estimated family contribution of $12,000, we could take a look at a private four-year, which could be Johns Hopkins, Loyola University, or Hood College, where the cost of attendance is about $42,979. A student's estimated family contribution of $12,000. That means that that student attending that private four-year will have a need of $30,000. We take a look at the public four-year, which could be College Park, Bowie, or Towson. We can see that their cost of attendance is about $22,953 minus the $12,000 estimated family contribution. That means at that institution, the student will only have $10,953 in need. At a public two-year, such as us, Montgomery College, our cost of attendance is about $16,068 minus the estimated family contribution of $12,000. That means the student will only have $4,000 in need, and that is the maximum amount of financial aid that student is eligible to receive. So you can see the difference at how this plays out at the various institutions. We have various types of financial aid. We have gift aid, which is grants and scholarships, and self-help aid, which is employment and loans. Grants is money that does not have to be paid back, usually is awarded on the basis of financial need. Scholarships is money that also doesn't have to be paid back and is awarded on the basis of merit, need, any skills, or unique characteristics. For our students at Montgomery College, we strongly encourage them to apply for FAFSA in order for us to be able to determine what their financial need is, as all of our scholarships are based on merit and financial need. Employment is our federal work study program, which provides students with employment. This could be on or off campus, and this is money that does not have to be paid back. Here at Montgomery College, students receive the federal minimum wage, and for Montgomery County students, it's about $10 an hour for federal work study. Loans, this is money that parents and students can borrow to help pay for their secondary educational expenses. Repayment usually begins once the student finishes their degree, or if they drop below the 6 credit limits, they have to go into some form of repayment. We basically tell our students only borrow what they need. So the sources of financial aid are composed of the federal government aid, the state government, educational institutions, and private sources. The federal government is the largest source of financial aid. It's awarded primarily on the basis of need. And that's why students need to complete the free application for federal student aid. And that's a free application. The season for the 2015-2016 is open already. And this is a form that students need to do every year because the information of income or other savings or any other information that changes during that year changes every year. That's why it's important that the federal government, the student has to apply every year so the federal government knows what the student's need is for that year. The eligibility requirements is they have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, or eligible non-citizen, which includes permanent resident, asylees. They have to have a valid Social Security number. They have to be working towards a degree or certificate. They have to have a high school diploma or GED. And they have to maintain satisfactory academic progress. And this is so important because the government will not continue to sponsor or help a student if they continue to withdraw within several consecutive terms or they're not doing well academically. They have to be making satisfactory academic progress in order to be eligible to receive federal aid. The federal aid program consists of the Pell Grant, Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grants. We have the Federal Work Study, the loans, which is the subsidized and unsubsidized loans, and also the Direct Plus loan, which is for parents. The Pell Grant, as I said, is need-based, and there's a limitation. Over the years, the government, as you know, is changing its laws, and now for students applying for financial aid, there's a 6-year full-time enrollment limit. So within those 6 years, the government expects that the student should have their undergraduate degree, a full-time enrollment. And for the upcoming academic year, the maximum Pell Grant will be $5,730, which is divided for both fall and spring. The Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, the maximum award is up to $4,000. However, here at Montgomery College, we try to make sure that we provide enough supplemental education opportunity grants to as many students as possible. So our awarding is from about $250 all the way up to $1,000. And this is for students that apply on time, that have their documents early, and their file is complete. So it's like a first come, first serve grant. The loans, we have two types of loans through the federal government. The students have a subsidized loan, which is need-based. That means that the government is taking care of their interest while the student is in school. The unsubsidized loan means that it's not need-based, and the interest is accruing while the students are in school. The current interest rate is 4.66. As you can see, it's much better than a private loan. And there is a 6 months grace period where repayment starts. And once the student finishes with their bachelor's degree, or if they want to continue for their master's, that's when they start into a repayment. And the government works with them, gives them 10 to 25 years in order to allow them to have a monthly payment that's adequate to what their current situation is. This chart gives you an idea of the various types of loans and the borrowing limits that we have for dependent and independent student. A dependent student is a student who is under the age of 24 and lives with or without their parents. An independent student is someone who's over the age of 24. And the only difference with those dependent and independent is a student can be under the age of 24, but if he or she is married, has a child, or is an orphan, or they are automatically considered independent. But this is the limited amount that a student can borrow, both on the subsidized and unsubsidized. And there's a lifetime limit also. So if a student has transferred here from another institution and they've borrowed money already, our loan team will evaluate them and figure out are they considered a third or fourth year, even though they're just entering into one of the programs here at the college. So financial aid is a process. It's something that cannot be done overnight or the day before the semester starts. It's something that has to be done several weeks in advance. The first steps are gathering all the materials needed to do the FAFSA. Then the next process is completing the FAFSA. And the third process is following up and taking care of whatever additional forms or documents are needed. So in order to get ready to do the FAFSA, students should collect their W-2s for them or their parents. There's also an opportunity to students get like an early estimate of what their estimated family contribution is going to be given the dynamics of that particular year. They're not sure whether or not they're going to be eligible or not. They could do what is called a FAFSA forecaster, and that's at www.fafsaforecaster.ed.gov. And this, like I said, is just an estimate of what their financial need looks like for the upcoming academic year. That's not the actual form in itself. Before students can do a FAFSA, they need to request a personal identification number known as a PIN number. This is just like a number, just like the bank gives you that number, a number that is going to be that particular student's PIN number. That number also needs to be requested for parents. And this is their electronic signature via the internet. If a student doesn't have this personal identification number, they cannot process the FAFSA. There are a lot of times where parents don't have access to a computer. The government works with them. And where students need to print out the form, sign it, and mail it, but that takes much longer. So it is, they're changing the process, and there's going to be additional changes this spring. But for right now, students still need to request a personal identification number. And make sure that they keep that somewhere where it's safe and not share it with anyone. The next step, after they requested the PIN number and they've gathered their tax information and their W-2s, is for them to do the FAFSA. And the site to do the FAFSA, it's www.fafsa.gov. This is extremely important because this is the only site where students should go to do their FAFSA. Doing the FAFSA, it's free. Unfortunately, there are a lot of companies out there that are charging students money to do the FAFSA when it's a free form, and we cannot emphasize that more. Every semester we have students that have paid $100, $200, $400 to help them do the FAFSA. And if students need assistance, the financial aid office at our 3 campuses are available to help them out to do this FAFSA. Maryland State has what it's called College Maryland, in which we also provide assistance to the families to help them navigate the process. Now, when students are doing the FAFSA for the first time, it's kind of overwhelming because there's a lot of questions, a lot of personal questions, a lot of the tax information, and they ask for parental information. And a lot of times they don't know what to respond. They don't know how to answer. But that's why it's important for them to come and visit us. But when a student does the FAFSA for the first time, it's overwhelming, like I said, but when they do it the following year, the basic information is stored. So the federal government has that information already, and the only thing the student has to modify is like the tax income information, or if they moved, or if they changed plans and what they want to do. But once they answer all the questions, once they've processed everything, the student submits that application to the Department of Education, and that's where the Department of Education is going to determine what the student's financial needs is going to be. Once that's done, the student will get called a student aid report called the SAR. This is very important because the student should review this form. A lot of times students when they're entering their income, let's say instead of putting $10,000 on their income, they put $100,000. So mistakes like that are very, very crucial because that's what the government utilizes to determine what the need is. So it's important for them to take a moment and review the student aid report to make sure that all the information that they submitted is correct. Also, following up with the schools is so crucial. That's not the end. When a student does the FAFSA, that's not the end. The students have to follow up and determine, okay, what is it that financial aid needs in order to continue with the process of my FAFSA? For Montgomery College, our priority deadline is May the 15th. Students need to have all of their financial aid completed by May 15th. That way we can assure them that before the beginning of the fall semester, you will know what your financial aid package is going to be. And for spring students coming in for the first time, our priority deadline is November the 1st. And one of the things is that a lot of times the documents that are needed, again, it is not automatically. For example, another change that the government has done is now the taxes have to be automatically. It's called an IRS data retrieval. And when a student's applying for FAFSA, it has to be already connected with IRS because that's where we're getting the information. The government has come very strict on that, so everything is connected, Homeland Security, IRS. So that's why it is important that the student follow up and make sure that the file is complete in order for them to maximize their financial aid opportunities. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a student that's starting this process in June because they want to start here in the fall. That's fine. But however, they missed on other opportunities and they missed out on other aid that they could have been eligible for. The state government, they award a lot of scholarships to state students, and they do require students to do their FAFSA in order to determine their eligibility. So for the state of Maryland, the deadline is March 1st. And you're like, wait, but you just said Montgomery College's deadline is May 15th. Yes, but if you want to be considered for Maryland State scholarships, your FAFSA has to be done by March 1st because that's their cutoff. That's when that's the pool of students that they take, and then they determine what financial aid programs and scholarships the students are eligible for. And any of the scholarships in the state can be used for public and private colleges and universities. This slide gives you a list of the various state scholarships that we have available. They're need-based scholarships and grants like the Howard Rawlings, which are the guaranteed and educational grants. We have merit-based scholarships. They have unique scholarships, career occupational for nursing students, and also legislative scholarships. We have delegates and senators awarding money. The unfortunate part is students are not applying. So as a student, I always encourage them, if you don't know who your delegate or senator is, contact the Board of Supervisors of Election to find out, give them your address. They'll let you know who your delegate, who your senator is, and you can contact their office and find out how can I be considered for your scholarships. And their scholarships range from $250 all the way up to $3,000. And the scholarships are renewable. But again, if the students are not applying, the money is not awarded. So this is a very, very important thing because they do both on full-time and part-time students. It's a little bit of money, but it helps out. Here we move on to foundation scholarships. The Montgomery College Foundation has over 300 community organizations, businesses, service clubs, and individuals supporting to full tuition or part-time scholarships. The qualifications for each of the scholarships vary. There's only one application process. Students only need to complete one application to be considered for all the various scholarships. The amounts range from $250 to $5,000, and the scholarships are for full year or for part-term. And we have moved into online scholarships. So now we don't have paper applications. Our application is an online process, which I will go over in a few minutes. This slide gives you, what I did is I wanted to include the scholarships available for health sciences majors. And we have endowed scholarships and current use. Endowed scholarships are scholarships that have been here for years, and they will continue to be here for many, many, many years because it's endowed amounts. As you can see from the list, some of the scholarships are very specific to a specific health science major, like nursing. But others are for full-time allied health students, supporting that program. Others are returning students within the mental health, nursing, allied health, and a lot of these scholarships are awarded to more than one student. So it is very important that students do apply because we do have help for students in allied health. And we even have general scholarships in the nursing program as well. And we have Delina Barnett, who also, this particular donor wants to help students not only in the health sciences, but education and teaching. If we don't have students from allied health applying, then we will award it to someone from another major. This list is our annual scholarship list for all health sciences major. We have a couple of donors this year, Betty Zell Memorial and Dolores Marquette, whose idea is very interesting. They want to help health science students who are either undocumented or who don't qualify for other aid. So that scholarship has benefited several of the allied health students this academic year. And these are scholarships that our development officers at the foundation will go back and try to obtain additional funds for the upcoming academic year. But as you can see, we have scholarships that are very unique. Like, for example, the Adi and Irish Shumeli scholarship is for nursing students, and it covers like full tuition and books as well. So again, and our scholarships go to more than one student. I also listed Kaiser Permanente, who just awarded $17,000 for allied health students. So 17 students benefited from that wonderful scholarship, which was about $1,000 per student. I wanted to bring up some statistical data. Last year, over 933 students received Montgomery College Foundation scholarship support. This totaled over $1.23 million. That's a lot of money. And that's just foundation scholarships. That's not including other scholarship opportunities that we have here at Montgomery College. But this include for Montgomery College and transfer scholarships. And like I was saying a few minutes ago, the way a student can apply is by completing the online application that we have. The cycle for this academic year has closed, but it will be opening up at the end of March, and it will continue to be up until the first day of the fall semester. And then we'll close it up again, and it will be open for the spring semester. Basically, students should apply because not only do we have the allied health scholarships, but we have other scholarships through the foundation that students could be considered for given the criteria. A lot of times we have a lot of the local clubs. They want to help a returning female who has changed career paths. They want to help someone who has a certain GPA, who lives in a certain area. So there's a wide variety of other scholarship opportunities through the Montgomery College Foundation, not just for, you have to be an allied health major. So it gives the student the opportunity to be included in our pool. The MC Online scholarship application process has changed, like I've mentioned. Students can now go to the financial aid webpage. They will have to go to the grants and scholarships section, and on the right top corner they will see MC scholarship application. They will need to use their MyMC login because that's how the system is going to identify them, that is actually John Doe who's applying. The application has several questions. It's asking them for personal information about do they plan to stay here at Montgomery College for a year, 2 years, what it has been their community service experience. We ask all that information because a lot of our scholarships, a lot of our donors want to award scholarship money to students that are giving back to the community. Also, it asks several essay questions, like how would scholarship funds help you? What are your current and future career goals? Because we have scholarships from donors that would like to help a student that not only are they working on their degree here at Montgomery College, but also will be transferring to a 4-year. And the essay questions are very important, and I always encourage students to make sure they answer those essay questions thoroughly, that they have give enough information so the various committees in my office has the opportunity to review and try to get an understanding what exactly is the student's need. And this is very important because if a student has applied for financial aid and the government is saying, no, you don't demonstrate need. But in the essay, the student has talked about, they're helping their families back home, or they have 3 jobs because they are helping, they're taking care of family members here. There has to be a unique situation for that student so that we can understand, okay, the government is saying they don't have need. However, in their essays, they're telling us the story that they can't tell the government with using the income information. So it is crucial that the students do take the time to answer the essay questions so that we can definitely consider them for the scholarships. And once they click the submit button, they go into the pool, and then our committees and our office begins the review process. Also, with workforce development and continuing education, there's scholarship opportunities, and I wanted to just bring that up slightly because, unfortunately, with workforce development students, the federal aid, and they're not eligible to use it. So if a student is in need of assistance, I always suggest that they go to their site. And the workforce development, they have a fall and a spring deadline, so students can also go in and apply for their scholarships. This is one of the scholarship application tips that I wanted to just mention briefly for students to start doing their search early. Waiting to the last minute, applying, or when the semester has started, it really doesn't help. It's important that they do their research early and for them to read the eligibility requirements of that scholarship. It's important that they look at the deadlines, if there's letters of recommendation that's needed. For our foundation scholarship, we really don't recommend that, but they're helpful because sometimes the committee that letter basically attest to what the student is saying in their application. And also to avoid scams, do not pay to apply for scholarships. Again, if someone is asking you to do $25, $50 to apply for this scholarship, that should be like a red flag. Don't do it. Also, there are a lot of private sources for scholarships in the Career Center, in the libraries. There's scholarship books available. The internet has a lot of scholarships out there, but it's important that the student take the time to read what is the requirement for those scholarships. Is this doable? Because if the scholarship is asking that it's for a particular major and that's not the student's major, there's no point in applying. So they should definitely focus on what is the scholarship asking for? What is the eligibility that is asking that I'm eligible to be considered for? And there's a lot of websites that we have, and these websites are listed on the Montgomery College webpage, but they are festweb.com, collegeboard.com, or www.finaid.org. Also through private businesses, political and advocacy organizations, religious and social organizations, parents' place of employment, or the student's place of employment. Sometimes they help out with the tuition and fees. So the student should also ask. And one of the things is they have to adhere to the deadlines and begin researching early, not again when the semester has started. I know I said this earlier, but filling out the FAFSA is free. Students should not pay to fill the FAFSA. They should avoid scholarship scams. They don't need to pay to help to find money for college. We cannot reinforce this. We try to make the students understand, please be careful of that. Here you're trying to get aid because you don't have the funds to go to school, and then on top of that you have to come up with funds to help you go to school. No. Avoid those scams. Deadlines are important. As I mentioned to you, our Montgomery College financial aid deadline is May 15th. For students to turn in all the documents, all the forms, and financial aid forms and applications are just like homework. You have to turn them in correctly and on time. You have to keep track of the financial aid deadlines, which in this case it includes the state deadline, our deadline, and the scholarship deadline. So it is a lot, so it is very important that students keep in mind of what deadlines they need to adhere to. Resources. We have so many resources. Here at Montgomery College, we have, through our financialaidtv.com, we have resources, videos. They're free. Students and parents can take a look at videos that are going to help the parents and the students understand, oh, what was that? The FAFSA? What was that about the loan? What is it? Because there's so much information. It's overwhelming. Financial aid is overwhelming because there's a lot of information. So these videos the college has on our site, which basically are generic and MC specific videos, like what were the deadlines? What did they tell me to do? Oh, the data retrieval, IRS, my parents haven't done the taxes. What do I do? So there's a whole list of videos the students really should look at, and their parents who try to understand and help them navigate through the financial aid process. Getting help is very, very important. Students should email the financial aid office, and our email address is very easy. It's financialaid@montgomerycollege.edu. Our scholarships email is scholarships@montgomerycollege.edu. And this is very important because students encounter situations. Let's say when they have applied for financial aid, they used the family's income from the previous year. Now is the beginning of the fall semester. Their parents lost their job. They are no longer employed. There's a new additional members that have been added, to their family household. All those dynamics, those are unique situations in which the students should come to the financial aid office. And we have offices at each campus, Germantown, Rockville, and Tacoma Park, Silver Spring. We're there to help the students. So it's important that the students come and ask for advice. If they are confused, if they're struggling or they're encountering a unique situation, ask for help. We're here to help them, and it's important that they visit our office. Also, the Department of Education, they have a 1-800 number. When students are doing their FAFSA and they're stuck in a certain question, they have a response center that's there to assist them. So the aid is out there for students to get the help that they need, and it's very important. The only thing is they have to apply. They have to follow through, and they have to be able to make sure that all the aid that they're using, it's enough. If it's not enough, they need to come to the financial aid office. And especially for allied health students, we have within the financial aid amount that students are allowed, we provide book vouchers. A lot of times that money is not enough. So if there's still money that the student has, we can always increase the book voucher amount allowed for students to use at the bookstore. So as you can see, I know it's a lot of information, but it's just important that students start the process early, keep on track, and apply and meet the deadlines. Thank you so much.